Welcome to our final episode of Here Come the Irish for the season. Vic Lombardi, Ryan Harris with you as we prepare for the Gator Bowl. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, of course, taking on South Carolina. Man, it's been a long time since they've faced a South Carolina. I don't know if you remember back in the day, Lou Holtz coached at South Carolina. So there are
Yes,
some ties to the Irish there.
absolutely. And some great teammates I had from South Carolina in the NFL. But this is a matchup that's it's either too close to call or it's the Irish by a mile. It's going to be fun. It's going to be amazing. And just what a celebration for the players that are going to play in that game after the amazing up and down roller coaster season
Yeah.
that the Irish had.
Well, we'll get into the matchup a little bit later in the show. We got plenty on tap for you, but let's talk wholly about the season because it started a bit rocky. You had a couple losses in there, and I was actually hopeful, like you were, Ryan, after they lose to Ohio State in Columbus, the way they played in that game. I'm looking at Notre Dame and saying, okay, we got something then. And they lose to Marshall and then Stanford, and you're like, oh boy, let's hold it together. And they did. They held it together down the stretch. You win 8 out of 12 when you endure coaching change and a quarterback getting injured. Overall, what is your take on the season?
Phenomenal job by Marcus Freeman and the coaching staff, Tommy Rees as well, the offensive coordinator. It's so easy to lose a locker room, especially when you lose to teams, but the coaching staff was able to keep players motivated, got young players into the game as the season went along, so develop the roster, continue to develop that kind of edge you have to play with to be a champion, and to be able to pull out a season like they did with the losses that they had. I mean, this could have easily been a 10-2 season, and players know that. And the biggest lesson players learned is no matter what coaching you get, you have to go out and dictate the terms of the game. So some big, big changes that happened throughout the year. Phenomenal job by the coaching staff and ultimately the players to get the job done.
Yeah, and they beat every single ACC opponent they faced on the schedule this year. It's interesting. We're going to talk about specific players here. Michael Mayer. There have been many iterations of Notre Dame football. I know when you played there, it was, it's offensive lineman you.
Yeah.
It was one point running back you, quarterback you. But if you look at by and large the last 30 years of Notre Dame football, you could say it is tight end you. There have been some great tight ends to emerge from that university. None better than Michael Mayer and the season he's put together. Now we'll see what he does in the pros. But as far as one season, the encapsulation of one season, you will not find anything remotely close to what Michael Mayer's done.
You will not. And he absolutely got, a snipe by losing the tight end of the year award to the tight end at Georgia Tech. What makes Michael Mayer amazing are many things, but a couple of them are he knows how to get open, meaning, okay, Vic, if you've got me in coverage and I know the defense, so that safety's going to push over, I'm going to get a little more inside on you when I'm running at you so that the ball can be inside. I'm anticipating where the quarterback's going to throw it while I'm running towards a defender. Catches everything with his hands. He made a one-handed catch around a body falling down this year. He was the safety blanket for Drew Pine. I mean, this guy is one of the greatest tight ends, and I think he will be the greatest tight end, provided health is all good. He'll be the greatest tight end out of Notre Dame in the history of the program. Leads in receiving yards, touchdowns, every category for a tight end. So Notre Dame, O-line you, tight end you, and broadcast you all this year.
Oh, I forgot about the broadcast, you. That's a
Yeah.
really good point. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. So Isaiah Foskey becomes an All-American this year. And I consider him a quiet leader because he put up some ridiculous numbers.
Yeah.
What did you notice about him and his development as a Notre Dame football player?
Well, it started slow and ended fast. I mean, he was dominant in the USC game, a game he had to be dominant in, also against BYU. So in the biggest games that Notre Dame played, Isaiah Foskey played a huge role. Had a punt block this year. I mean, that's the kind of thing where if you're an NFL scout and you haven't seen Isaiah Foskey at all, you read the numbers 6'5", 250, and you say, okay, he leads one of the best schools in defensive linemen. Justin Tuck says hello in sacks. He blocked a punt? I mean, who is this guy? I mean, everyone's turning on the film, and I'm excited for Isaiah Foskey. I mean, he's still, of course, like all of us when we left college, room for development. He's got to develop an inside move, be better with his hands, but he's going to be playing in the NFL for a long time.
We live in a different era now with the transfer portal, Ryan. You've seen it right before your very eyes how it's changed college football. Were you surprised at how quickly Drew Pine entered that portal?
I was. And listen, I talked to a lot of parents of players across the country. A lot of them call me and say, what should we do? And here's some things about the portal, right? One, it is good for players. But two, players also have to understand the coach you're going to, is that coach going to, if they get the new recruit, are you still going to play? And oh, by the way, the young players don't know this. You're giving away what you think about competition. Because guess what happens in the NFL? There's going to be competition. Whatever team you're going to, whatever position you play, they have somebody at that position. So I don't think players realize how much they're giving away, that they're afraid of competition. And when it comes to Drew Pine, phenomenal job stepping in this year as the backup quarterback. Yes, there's room for improvement. And if I'm Drew Pine, listen, I love him. He's great. He did great for Notre Dame. He's 5'11", listed at 5'11", just say that. And he's about 180 pounds soaking wet. He's not going to have an elite NFL career. So if I'm Drew Pine, one semester away from graduating with a Notre Dame degree, I go ahead and finish out the spring semester, and then I transfer to a Yale, a Cornell, a Princeton, or something like that to start my next phase in life. So there's a lot happening. Coaches don't like it because they have to recruit their own roster. They have to be honest to the players. And players are missing that they're giving away their fear of competition in a lot of these situations.
Yeah, it's turned college football on its side. It's just hard to watch. Sometimes it's great because some programs, like you saw what USC did. USC went 180, right? And it's happening in Colorado up the road from where we live. Prime is doing it there. The transfer portal can help and hurt at the same time. I'm very interested to see what it does to Notre Dame. Now, Tyler Buchner is going to come back and play quarterback in the bowl game. He hasn't played since that Marshall start. How difficult will it be to get the rust off?
It'll be a little difficult to start, and the big thing is for Tommy Rees, offensive coordinator, to really put him in situations where he understands everything. I mean, one of the things about Tyler Buchner, he has the ability to run, but maybe you only use one or two plays like that, right? So that he's not trying to think about 17 different reads when he's running downfield with the ball or going through that mesh. For me, it's just important that Tyler Buchner has a good game so that he knows he's the leader himself. His team sees him as the leader after this game. And he's got a huge opportunity. I mean, if you're Tyler Buchner, you're saying, if you thought Drew Pine was great, wait till I get back and get healthy. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs, and what an opportunity for Tyler Buchner and this entire Notre Dame team.
All right, lastly, and I know you've had a lot to say about this topic because of what's at stake here. The guys who have declared for the NFL draft, Mayer, Foskey, they're not going to play in this bowl game. And there are those who believe, well, if you're loyal to the institution, you're loyal. You should be playing. What is your argument not to play in this game for those?
What value? Money and value. Listen, I mean, if any single person watching right now had a child and they said, hey, listen, you could walk the stage for your diploma, but if you get injured going up those steps, you're never going to be able to go into the career you want. No one would send their kid to graduation, right? So I understand the fan loyalty. And for players, I mean, to be honest, you're lucky that Isaiah Foskey and Michael Mayer continued to play after that loss to Stanford. I mean, there was really not a lot of room for this team to go bowl-wise, and it's just too much of a risk, right? Jalen Smith says hello. We all remember in that Ohio State game. I mean, that game cost him $30 million. So not only – so I want people to think about – forget, how we feel about it, but imagine if you were the player who lost $30 million in one game because you wanted to prove to teammates that weren't going to be your teammates for the next 10 years that you love them. There's better ways to do it. Send them a Rolex. You'll be fine.
Do you have a different argument if they're in the CFP?
No, yes. At the CFP, now you're competing for a national championship. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I still understand why a player may or may not, right? But if you got the chance to win a national championship, you got to go for it. And I think both of those players would have been playing in the bowl game.
Well, we were blessed and privileged to watch Michael Mayer do his thing. And he set records that may never be broken for Notre Dame tight ends. He established himself as the tight end in Irish history. Why don't we take a look back now at the most productive season a tight end has ever had at this school?
Michael Mayer, as good as there is in college football at that tight end position.
There's Mayer, the All-American. He takes great pride as a blocker.
When he gets a chance, he doesn't want to block you. He wants to physically maul and humiliate you. And then for good measure, I'm going to go drive you into the ground as well.
Just a sensational talent is Michael Mayer. I love it. I just love how he blocks. He's physical, man. He's cut from the old school clock.
Think about this. Everything they do offensively starts with him.
And that's Michael Mayer across midfield for a first down. True freshman. Scanning underneath. It's Michael Mayer.
What a first touchdown against Florida State under the lights at Notre Dame. Welcome Michael Mayer to the family.
It's Mayer through a tackle. Over another one.
Michael Mayer right now, the tight end. Florida State doesn't have a guy that can cover it.
Into double coverage, it's pulled in by Mayer. Again, throwing it downfield, and oh, what a catch by Mayer. The ball was on the back of the linebacker. Mayer just took it right off of him.
Mayer again.
You just can't cover him. You've got no chance. Best tight end in college football.
That is America's most complete, best all-around tight end.
Well, for the last time as a student, we will have Aiden Thomas on the show to break down the South Carolina defense. Aiden, I'm not crying, you're crying. How's it feel coming into your final semester as a student at Notre Dame?
It's a bit of an unreal feeling. You know, I just finishing up finals and kind of soaking in break a little bit right now. But I think after I'll be down in Jacksonville for the bowl game. And I think once I get back from that, it's going to start hitting. You know, it's the last time I'll see Notre Dame play as a student. And that's definitely a weird feeling to have.
Every Notre Dame alumni right now watching is saying, use the Notre Dame network. It doesn't matter how you get your foot in the door, and Notre Dame alumni are always willing to help out our young graduates. So congratulations in advance, and I hope you ask Santa for some AirPods. Now, let's go to the South Carolina Gamecocks defense. Give us a 30,000-foot view of what this defense is.
Yeah, South Carolina defense, definitely the weaker portion of their team. They're going to be a little bit decimated with opt-outs. They have 3 of 5 secondary starters have opted out of this bowl game. A couple of starters on their defensive line as well. So in general, South Carolina was a little stronger against the pass this year, but and teams have really kind of come at them with the run. But they've also had a hard time with some of the more dynamic quarterbacks on their schedule, like Hendon Hooker. But you know, everyone had trouble with Hendon Hooker to some extent. But so South Carolina, in general, you're going to find some strength up on their defensive line. They've got Tonka Hemingway and Jordan Birch are going to be a couple of guys in the bowl game that will be key players for them. And then Marcellus Dial is one of their best players in the secondary that will still be playing. He has a few interceptions for them this year. So South Carolina, it's going to be a little bit interesting to see how they adjust to having 4, maybe 5 starters out in the bowl game and if they try to adjust to any schemes. But in general, they've been pretty vulnerable on the ground and a little bit vulnerable to some dual threat quarterbacks, which Notre Dame is obviously bringing back with Tyler Buckner.
Well, when you said they're vulnerable on the ground, I just had a vision of like the plate before your holiday dinner. You know, it's just ready for you. Audric Estime and company have to be licking their chops. Now, before we go to what you would do, I want to just get your opinion. You saw all the games as I did. Who are a couple of players on offense for the Irish that really stand out to you in terms of you can trust this guy moving forward if you're the offensive coordinator?
Yeah, I think that's definitely, I mean, the easy answers right now are Audric Estime, Logan Diggs, just as far as your skill position guys that you want, with the ball in their hands moving forward. I think personally, the best player outside Michael Mayer all season long was Joe Alt. I think he was just absolutely dynamic at left tackle. He was, everything you could want in a left tackle, honestly. And the guy that, the Notre Dame, the Irish are going to really need to trust moving forward as a guy that can protect the blind side. He can run block. He can do a little bit of everything. So I think Joe Alt is just a guy that, like, next year he's going to be such a linchpin in this offense with Meyer gone. I would argue he's probably going to be the best returning player on the offense. So he would be the name to watch out for, as well as just Mitchell Evans is a guy that we haven't really seen make an impact in the passing game, but we saw him get an increased role, obviously the Mitchell Palooza packages, different things like that. So you're going to see Mitchell Evans probably get an increased role in the Gator Bowl. So I'll be curious to see what Notre Dame kind of offers as, their projected starting tight end for next year as far as passing game weapon.
It's kind of an open tryout for that starting tight end in this bowl game. I also like how Jaden Thomas came along at the end of the year, and you started to see some Lorenzo Styles kind of come back towards the end too. A big play there against USC, but I'm with you there. Joe Alt, by the way, Minnesotan. Hello, get you a Minnesotan left tackle at Notre Dame, and you'll be okay. All right, Aiden, your favorite part of the show as an offensive coordinator. What are you dialing up to beat the Gamecocks?
Yeah, I think it definitely starts with the ground game, and that's even a little bit more obvious than normal for Notre Dame with your best passing weapon out of this game with no Michael Mayer. But South Carolina has given up 500-yard rushers this year, and I believe 10 of their 12 opponents have had a rusher of at least 75 yards. And in these past 4 games, South Carolina's gotten a lot of attention for their rise at the end of the year, but in reality, their defense has still continued to struggle. They've given up 27 plus points in 4 straight games and a 100-yard rusher in 3 of those games. So Audric Estime, Logan Diggs, that Notre Dame offensive line should still be really strong, should be able to, if you're Rees, you should be able to lean on that. And then, you're going to have an interesting quarterback situation. You don't know if it's going to be Buckner the whole game, if Steve Angeli's going to get some run. So it's going to be a little bit of inexperience in the passing game, regardless of who's under center. But South Carolina is missing three starters in the secondary. So I like the idea of really establishing themselves on the ground, which is what Notre Dame did all year. It's where they had their best offensive games. And then getting the shot, like you said, giving Jaden Thomas a shot, giving Lorenzo Styles a shot, maybe trying to find Mitchell Evans some room in the passing game. But if you start with Estime and Diggs, that's going to open up a lot of things and make the game easier for Buckner in his first game back.
I can't wait. Thanks so much, Aiden. Congratulations on finishing college. Welcome to the family, and have a great, great final semester as a Notre Dame student.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it.
All right, next, let's see what Marcus Freeman has to say about this bowl matchup.
As I told our team this morning is that, we have to respect this opportunity, and that means respect your opponent. It's a great opponent we have coming up on December 30th, and so you respect them in terms of the way you prepare and the way you practice and you study film and you take care of your bodies. All those things are important in terms of respecting your opponent, and then understand the opportunity we have, to play in this Gator Bowl, to play against a great opponent, to continue to uphold the standards that have been set before us.
All right, let's talk a little bit about that South Carolina offense and get some help from the Observer staff. Mannion McGinley, who is going to offer her last synopsis of the upcoming opponent here on the show. Mannion, thank you for doing this for the last couple of years. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Vic. It's really been a great time, and I've loved doing it.
So before we go on to breaking down the opponent, you got a semester of Notre Dame left. What are your ambitions? What do you want to do next?
So I'd love to go into sports communications, do some sports journalism. Currently, I'm trying to finish a senior thesis on women in sports journalism. So I'm loving that process right now, and I'm excited to get that done.
Who'd you talk to? Anybody in specific? There have been a lot of great journalists out of Notre Dame. Hannah Storm comes to mind.
Yeah. So I've spoken in class with Jess Smetana a couple of times. I've listened to Betsy Ross speak. She got a master's in communications here. Then I'm doing a lot of research and planning a couple more interviews going forward. So I'm really excited for those.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, jobs are harder to come by for those of us who didn't major like in accounting or the usual at Notre Dame. I remember when I graduated, Mannion, all of my roommates, I had 3 roommates, they all had jobs like 3 months before graduation. And I'm sweating it out. I graduate and I had nothing. And you just wait and wait. But eventually the Notre Dame network will save you. You'll get somewhere with that Notre Dame degree. So I trust you will as well. You've been great. Let's talk about Spencer Rattler and the Gamecocks, because I am wary of any team that can go and put 63 on Tennessee. That is a heck of an offense.
As am I. Yeah. The Spencer Rattler, he knows what he's doing in the pocket, and they've got a shotgun style going right now that's been working for them. They got off a little bit to a slow start in terms of Rattler feeling comfortable. He had early interceptions in the first couple of games, but now he looks comfortable. He knows what he's doing, and he's in charge of his offense. He's finding Antoine Wells Jr., Josh Vann, and Jalen Brooks consistently. And when he can throw to them for more than 50 yards each, that's when defenses and opponents are having trouble. So he's really going to be the key to success for this offense and finding his wide receivers, especially since they're going to be without their tight ends. Jaheim Bell and Austin Stogner are both not playing, as well as Trevion Kenyon is pulling away from football for a while. So those 3 were major in this offense this year. Bell specifically was a rushing and receiving leader. So it's going to be really interesting without them, and it's going to fall on Rattler's shoulders even more in terms of making that pass game important and getting it going.
What does Shane Beamer like to do? Does it all begin and end with Spencer Rattler, or do they have other weapons they can lean on in case he's not working that day?
Yeah, they've been able to go to some of the wide receivers for a bit of a trick play. Rattler's actually been able to catch a couple plays, catch a couple passes. So I think it's just a matter of running through Rattler, but also letting him trust his teammates. He's got Christian Beal-Smith in the rush game, so that'll be really interesting, and it'll be something to see him without Bell. See how much space he's going to take up. But it will have to fall on Rattler's shoulders more than it's had to all year because he's losing some of those key names. They've got about 12 players total going that aren't playing for different reasons. And some of his key names like Bell and Stogner are in that equation.
That's amazing when you just say it that way. But the fact that they have 12 players that some opt out, some choose not to play, tells you they've got some talent. And I don't know how the reserves will step in, but both teams have those questions. That's the beauty of these bowl games. You never know what you're going to get. By the way, are you covering this game?
I am. I will be in Jacksonville.
Okay. Dress warm, because even though it's in Florida, I got a buddy of mine who lives in Jayville, and it was 40 degrees today. So don't get confused. It can get cold down there, okay?
Sounds good. I was in Arizona last year, and it was about 50 degrees, and we weren't ready. So I'll be ready this time.
Be ready, Mannion. Hey, Mannion, listen, I want to thank you so much. You've been a fountain of information for us. Best of luck to you on whatever you do next. You've been great.
Thank you so much, Vic. Appreciate it.
All right, let's hear from Shane Beamer, head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks.
So neat to be back, but what an opportunity for our players to play a team like Notre Dame, a fantastic opponent. I know our fans are excited, as they should be, playing in the Gator Bowl for the first time, I believe, since 1987, one that our players are excited about, I'm excited about, and I know our fan base is excited about a new venue, new location to be playing in, a new bowl game as well. The opportunity, I haven't seen all the bowl matchups, so I don't really know who's playing who, but I know this one's going to be right at the top as far as excitement about the game. Two nationally ranked teams that have had really great moments throughout the season.
Next, we welcome one of my favorite teammates of all time, one of the greatest receivers to play at Notre Dame, one of the greatest pitchers to pitch at Notre Dame. He's a father to two, a husband to one, a fantastic person, a kind man, and a ruthless competitor. Please welcome the legend, Jeff the Shark Samardzija.
Yeah, baby. Thanks for having me, Big Hair. I'm happy to be here, man.
Great to see you as always, brother. And let's just dive in real quick. You played football and baseball at Notre Dame. How do you think about your time when you look back at the wins, whether it was in baseball or football?
Oh, man, fast, dude. It went so fast. We had so much fun, and you know that from day one, dude. We were competing so hard and, doing everything we can to be the best. And we were putting so much time into sports and throwing a second sport in. It just goes so fast, man. I wish I could almost relive it over again, do it all over again. But, I'm so happy that things went the way they went, and I'm so appreciative of all the time we had together. It was awesome.
Well, one of those times we had together, say hi to the kids in the background. Hey, we love families. We're dads in here. But one of my favorite memories that we had on the field, UCLA 2006, I think we're on like the 30-yard line. Brady Quinn throws you a crossing route. What happens next?
Yeah, just played football, man. All those days in the park with all your buddies, and mostly my older brother really beating up on me a lot. So, just having fun out there, man. Looking back on it, we were so oblivious to what was at stake and what lied ahead, and in our future. We were just so in the moment, and I just love that about that time for us. It was just so much fun, and we were just living the moment, man. We went out there and had a lot of fun, and remember making a couple guys miss, and then ended up in the end zone, man. What a moment! Pretty boring game, if I remember too. I don't think much happened, but I have this great image of my buddy said he was walking outside the stadium when it happened. He said the place went berserk, and you know how much fun that was for us, man. And then we rode that high into the night, and I'm sure we had a great time.
Absolutely. I mean, that was honestly, too, one of the fastest times I've ran on a field playing football because Jeff caught the ball coming across. We're like, okay, he caught it, first down. Oh, my God, he's going to. And like the whole team, you can watch on the replay, the whole team starts just flying down there because we won the game. Now, you mentioned something that I always just admired about you as a competitor. We would be in the biggest games, and you would be the calmest, coolest cat, sometimes playing your little handheld video game on the bus. How did you stay so even keel throughout your football and Major League Baseball career when you came into high pressure situations?
You know, I think I just grew up watching guys that's you know, that was their thing, you know, and we always valued that as kids, being there at the end, being ready at the end. You know, even when things are just in the thick of it, that you stay calm and collected. To me, there's value there. You know, I always enjoyed being that way, but you know, I also had confidence in the guys, man. We were always really good. You know, from once we hit, you know, mid sophomore year on, it kind of seemed like we all started to click, and man, we played so much football together. It just seemed like it was second nature for us to get out there and do our thing, and you know, it's really crazy. Our whole story is awesome because, you know, when we got there day one of camp, we all hung out. You know, we had 23 guys in our class, and it seems like pretty much all 23 of us got along. I know a couple of guys transferred out there early. You know, we won't talk about the tight ends or anyone that transferred out.
Hey, we got him in the Super Bowl later, though, bro. We're good. We got him in the Super Bowl. We got him.
You got him, baby. But you know, it's so much fun, man, and to think about how the part of life it was for us, and then what it ended up becoming. You know, we had a lot of confidence in each other, and we love those moments, man. I'm pretty sure that's why we all went there, was to have those moments. And if you don't want those moments, then, you know, you're probably in the wrong spot.
Absolutely. And Jeff, you had one of the most fun I had watching you as a baseball player. You went through one of the weirdest situations in the history of baseball. You were traded as an all-star and had to switch jerseys. What was that like? Like, walk us through when you got the call, and then how you had to switch jerseys, and what was that like?
Well, Tony Clark texted me and said, you know, I got an interesting situation for you. You're voted in the All-Star game, but you know, you're playing for an AL team right now. So they told me that I couldn't participate. So essentially, I just became like a reporter in a way. And for the first half of the All-Star weekend, I was on the National League side doing my thing, and then get out of here.
Hey, he wants
and
the
then,
TV too.
And then after that, I went over to the AL side and got to hang out with Miggy Cabrera and Trout and all those cats. And dude, just a kind of a weird experience, but it ended up being a real positive experience because I got to see both sides of it. And I obviously would like to throw an inning or two in the game, but you know, that's the way these things go. You know, you kind of go live and do the best you can, and you know, hope for the best. But you know, it was an odd situation. You know, one of my favorite sporting memories. I have a no-name hat on and with no team. So you know, I got a lot of these weird baseball records that are like one-off records that aren't the ones you want.
I feel you. Well, two more questions and we'll let you go. You got to play with some of the best players who would go on in football to the NFL. And as you just mentioned, you played with some of the greatest baseball players as well. What's consistent between the top performers in each of those sports that you experienced as their teammate?
Yeah, they're resilient, you know, without a doubt. They're resilient. It don't matter the results, man. They show up the next day, they're the same guy with the same confidence, and they're expecting the same result. So, you know, I think that when I watch talent and watch guys play, and you're looking for the future, you know, that's what I'm looking for is that same bad dude every day that shows up all the time. You know, doesn't make excuses, doesn't get hurt, doesn't get sick. You know, that's what it's all about. You know, those little things are what make the difference between these studs and the guys that show up every day, and it's kind of easy for them. You know, they're not playing at 80%, but they, in a way, they kind of are because they can. And right. That's what creates longevity, and that's what creates, you know, the best of the best. They're resilient, they're confident, and they are who they are every day. They're not a fake person. They're not trying to be someone they're not. You know, they come out and they do their thing.
Well, I love it. I always say, too, watching games and broadcasting, I want the receiver that drops the ball and then goes and catches a touchdown, because every
No
receiver is
doubt.
going to drop the ball. But to your point of resilience, I agree. That's an incredible thing that's hard to really master and to trust. And finally, before we let you go, you think about your time at Notre Dame. What do you know now that you had no idea a way that Notre Dame would impact you when you were going to school and playing for Notre Dame?
A certain respect, man. I think the more I watch these college programs run their programs, and the more you see who the kids are 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, there's a certain standard that Notre Dame holds themselves to that I think trickles down to the players that maybe I didn't maybe appreciate when I was there, and I didn't want the attention, and kind of wanted to slide under the radar and have some fun and this and that. But they had our best interests in mind in the future. And I think it's easy to get into these programs and see these programs sucking every piece of life out of these kids for those 3 or 4 years that they're at that school. And to look back on it and to see that they really had my future best interests in mind really makes me really happy, puts a smile on my face that I went through that and was there. And I had someone looking out for me, even though I didn't necessarily want it or know it. To see that they held me to a standard and expected a lot out of me to be a better man today. And I feel like I make good, solid decisions. A lot of that based on what Notre Dame instilled in me back in the day. And I'm very appreciative that they treated us that way and let us grow. But at the same time, kept a tight leash on us that made sure we were being good kids and making good decisions. And because it's all on your resume, man. Everything goes on your resume. It's not necessarily your grades or what's on your football tape. But it's how you live your life too, and all that stuff's important, and they value that. They like having kids like us around. We'll say kids because we're still young men that represent the school the right way, and we don't have to agree on everything, but the one thing we can agree upon is how to be a good person and treat other people. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm excited for the relationship going forward, and I love what the direction this program's headed, man. The baseball program's been doing great. Going to the College World Series as a Notre Dame school with not full scholarships is awesome and doesn't happen often. And our football team, man, I see them play the right way all the time with getting great recruits. I'm really excited to be a part of the family, man. Thanks for having me on today. Even with these kids doing their thing right behind me.
Hey, we love it, man. Give him a little cameo. He is Jeff Samardzija. His resume, double-digit career as a pitcher, Major League Baseball. Well, of course, one of the greatest wide receivers as well to play at Notre Dame, and one hell of a model American. Thank you, Jeff. Love you, brother.
We're trying. I appreciate having me, Big Hair. Enjoy these bowl games, baby. MAC action, some Sun Belt. You got to love it, man. You got to love it. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to you and your family.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. And thanks, Jeff.
Bro.
See you soon. Go Irish.
Take care. Go Irish.
Next, your favorite part of the show, Vic's Picks. He's going to have some good ones to top that interview.
It is now time for the final episode of Vic's Picks, Bowl Game Edition. Who do you like in the Gator Bowl, sports fans? You know how this works. You pick the winner. You give me a score, total yards. Will they beat the spread, all that business. And if you're better than I am in these picks, you win yourself a Here Come the Irish hoodie pictured right there. They're beautiful. They're tough to get. By the way, if you don't win, you can always order one online. Let's welcome our first guest from the Rockney Athletics Fund, Ann Strichers, class of 96 from San Francisco. Ann, how are you?
Hey, good morning, and good to see you, Vic. And I do like that sweatshirt. Nice looking. Hope to get one.
But you're going to have to outduel me for this. How many games have you been to recently? Have you been back to South Bend?
Yeah, so I live in San Francisco, where Jeff Samardzija used to be. And I was at the Marshall game. And I concluded the season by attending the USC game down at the Coliseum.
So you're 0-2. Now we know what it is.
Yeah.
Ann cannot go to games. Do not go to the bowl game, Ann.
But honestly, Vic, those two I was actually at the Fiesta Bowl last year as well. But I'm going to make my pick based on what I've seen in person and seeing the team do as a result of those losses. So
without further ado, give us your picks.
And I live near Stanford University, so that loss was brutal. But this is a team that has incredible team chemistry, and you hear the word resilience in sports a lot. It's almost overused, but it's true about this team. When they have found defeat, together they have created and made something possible that is leading me to pick the Irish to win this game, even though we're not the favorite. So my pick is 24-20. We will cover the spread. We're going to have a lot of yards. It's going to be a great game. I can't wait. Go Irish.
Beautiful. Is that a letter from Father Malloy there over your shoulder?
It sure is. I'm a coach. I work at a Catholic high school in San Francisco, and I coached cross country for 9 years. And one of our team captains, who is a Notre Dame graduate, and her mother is a Notre Dame graduate, they got this letter from Monk Malloy, who was president when I was an undergrad. And it was a letter thanking me for service as a coach. So anyone that works in athletics, high school athletics, it's a lot of work. But honestly, the effort and the relationships with something like that, it makes it all worth it.
Yeah. Well, I lived in Soren Hall, so I got to play monk hoops once a week with Monk Malloy. And the key back then was to play on his team, because no matter if you won or lost, you got to play the very next game. It's the way it worked. And best of luck to you. I appreciate it.
Thanks. You. Go Irish.
On to our next participant from the Order of St. Thomas More. Let's welcome in Bob Lee from St. Paul, Minnesota. Bob's wife went to Notre Dame. Bob, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, thanks.
So what kind of Notre Dame fan are you exactly? Your wife went there. Who's a bigger fan, you or the missus?
Well, I think I'm a bigger fan than my wife is, but she's got the Notre Dame credentials. She was Notre Dame Law. Her brother was Notre Dame undergraduate, and her father was a triple domer, undergraduate, graduate, and a doctorate in chemistry. So, and I went to another great power football school, Cornell. So I had no choice but to get on the Notre Dame bandwagon.
You're right. See, you have a great excuse. For those who went to those kind of schools, any Ivy League school, you really don't have much there, so you got to jump onto one of the big wagons, and that's what you did. Good stuff, Bob. See, you're smart. All right, what do you like? Give us your picks.
Well, my picks were first of all, Notre Dame will win. I usually try not to bet against Notre Dame, but I think this is going to be a close game, and in a close game, I think that I'm going to go with Notre Dame. They have had a lot of adversity this year, but what I like about them is, after a fairly disastrous start, they pulled together in a way that I think very few teams could. And they beat ranked opponents. So I think they're going to put up a really strong game. I know that South Carolina is on a roll too, but I think the loss to USC by Notre Dame was not unexpected, and just they'll learn from it. So I'm picking Notre Dame to win.
You are picking the Irish.
Sorry?
I said you are picking the Irish. That is no surprise whatsoever. Any last words?
No, just I think because I think they'll cover the spread, and I also think that I expect a fair amount of offense from them. With Mayer out, they're going to have to open up the field with wide receivers, and it could be a pretty entertaining game.
You're right. I can't wait to see Buckner back under center. I want to see how much he's progressed, how much it's changed watching the games for the last couple months. So,
exactly.
Bob, thanks. Appreciate your pick, my friend. Thank you very much.
Let's
move on to John Dunbar, representing the O'Hara Society from Clarence, New York. John is a Notre Dame parent. Kid or kids that attended Notre Dame, John?
2 daughters went there, Vic. Hi.
Beautiful.
Kelly graduated in 2010 from pre-professional. She's gone on into hand therapy and now is an expert with hanger-on prosthetics. And then our youngest daughter, Kimberly, graduated in 2013, and she's now a vice president technology company in the Los Angeles area.
Wow. See, you've made it as a parent when you've got kids that can qualify for Notre Dame. So congratulations to you and your entire family. That's a wonderful thing to have. Where did you go to school? Just curious.
I went to the University of Buffalo, and
gotcha.
Clarence is right outside there. So after sending the 2 kids, I was asked to participate because of my background in business on the front lines in Mendoza. So I've been on, this will be our 9th trip. My wife will be joining us. We'll be working in Uganda this year with a team of MBAs. And then I've also become an adjunct professor at Notre Dame. I'm going to be teaching in the MBA and the MSF, Master of Science in Finance program. And I've been
John, that is impressive.
For about 6 years. So it was our girls that started this, but now I'm the Notre Dame guy.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? No matter what, if somebody in the family is aligned with Notre Dame in any way, everybody's pulled in. It's like a magnet.
It's a family situation for sure. From that
It
opening
really is.
welcoming mass, when your kid first goes there, you never leave.
I'm the only member of my family to attend Notre Dame, but I've got a big Italian extended family. Everyone's a Notre Dame fan. It just doesn't matter. It's just the way it works. All right, give us your picks here.
Well, when they asked me to do this, I thought this is pretty tough. Notre Dame's going to be missing their starting quarterback, tight end, sack leader. South Carolina's out 12 people, but I got to go with the Irish 28-20. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game because the running game is going to be important. So I think there's going to be a lot more running than passing.
Well, that's actually pretty smart because of all the missing pieces. I have no idea what we're going to see.
Yeah, and the Irish have played well on the road. Their offensive line, I think, can take over a game. And you start getting that running attack going, I think we'll just stick with that. And Buckner, if he plays, they'll probably have him run as much as pass.
Mm-hmm. John, thank you very much for your pick. Thanks for what you do for Notre Dame. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Go Irish.
Our final contestant representing the Soren Society from Amherst, New York, class of 95, Molly Boscarino. Molly, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Nice and warm there in New York, or is it pretty chilly these days?
I'm a few miles away from Clarence, and we just had a lot of nice snow here, about 2 feet, and it's about 28 degrees. It's perfect weather.
Tell us about your Notre Dame experience. Where did you live?
I lived in Howard Hall, class of 1995. I married my husband, who lived in Morrissey Manor, class of 1995, and we met at the Morrissey Christmas SYR. Or formal SYR.
I knew those SYRs were good for something.
They were good for something, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we met there and married and or homers. Love Notre Dame.
That's so good to hear stories of SYRs that turned out to be, long forever weddings like yours and marriages. Yes. That's beautiful to hear, Molly. All right, tell us what you know about this game. Who do you like? How much?
So I like Notre Dame. Picking the Irish to win 28-24. I think we'll definitely cover the spread, and I think we're going to have 361 yards of offense. I'm a big Tommy Rees fan. I'm super excited about the Freeman era, and I think we're due for a big win. I went back to 2 games this year, Marshall and Stanford. So for everyone out there, I will not be at the bowl game, which is good. So I think they'll do well.
See, we were talking to Ann earlier. She's 0 for 2 as well. At least you're aware of your surroundings. You understand. Yes. Don't go to the game.
Right. I'm not allowed to go, though I am pleased to report that I have my son was recently admitted to the class of 2027. So super
congratulations. Tell how cool was that moment? How did you get the news? Did it come in letter form or email form?
It came in email. You go to a portal and you check the portal, and it was an incredibly emotional day for our family. As my husband and I are both Notre Dame grads, and my dad and his brothers and my mom's brothers all went there. So there's a long third. This will be the 3rd generation, but a long. So super exciting for our family. A lot of hard work.
Well, you raised a good kid, and it takes hard work. No matter who you are, to get in Notre Dame is not an easy feat.
No, that it was his work and some prayers, I think. But
Molly, best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. Go Irish! You heard from our 4 contestants. Now it's my turn. It's the final game. It's a bowl game. Anything goes in a bowl game. You saw last year against Oklahoma State that great start followed by the frenetic finish. You never know what you're going to get. I do think Notre Dame is going to win this game. I do think Notre Dame will put up points. Tyler Buckner, quarterback, is going to provide another wrinkle again, the running wrinkle. In the last couple of months, I'm told that the passing of Tyler Buckner has improved. Now, you got to show it to me on the field. So We'll see what he does against South Carolina. South Carolina's missing a lot of players. They got a lot of opt-outs, as do the Irish, of course. So give me Notre Dame. They will beat the spread, and I expect a lot of offense in this game because it's a bowl game and crazy things happen in the silly season. That's my pick. Let's hope you beat me to win yourself. Here come the Irish hoodie. All right. Finally, how about a little hype video for what it means for these players to play for Notre Dame?
We chose Notre Dame. We chose to do the work.
Embrace getting the train together. Embrace the challenge of it. Embrace the dominant mindset. Embrace it.
We chose to grow.
We got one thing on our mind right now.
We chose hard. Over and over and over. Because it's the greatest feeling in the world.
Let's go! We love it.
We chose to love.
What we have is very special, and I love you guys.
We chose to trust.
Y'all ready for this moment? Y'all ready for this?
Let's go to work, boys. Has to be on 2. 1, 2.
We chose this place.
Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
We chose this family.
Notre Dame, our mother.
We chose Notre Dame. And she embraced us from the very start.
All right, here we go, Ryan Harris. The final game of 2022, December 30th. The Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, 2 8-4 teams, the Irish against South Carolina, two very similar teams. They had losses that they wish they certainly couldn't lose, and then they had great wins. Notre Dame had some great wins. South Carolina put 63 on Tennessee. Who do you like in this game and why?
I like Notre Dame. I think it's going to be a dogfight, but one of the things people are missing is I believe Marcus Freeman learned that bowl games are very, very different. He talked at length about how they jumped out to that big lead against Oklahoma State earlier this year, and that really affected the second half. So this is his second bowl game. I think his preparation is going to be different. And you've got a lot of players who are still saying, who are going to be saying, yes, we're losing Foskey, yes, we're losing Michael Mayer, and we're still here. So a huge opportunity for young players to shine. The key in big games to play fast. No one watches the mistakes.
Yeah, that's a great question that you brought up. The psychology of a player when it comes to these bowl games that aren't college football playoff bowl games. What's the end game here? What's the motivation? Because during the regular season, the motivation is obvious. You want playing time. Hey, we got to win this game to get into bowl season, to get to the bowl game we want. We want to move up the rankings. What's the motivation in a game like the Gator Bowl?
Well, just to play against an opponent you typically don't see. I mean, that's the big thing with the bowl games, right? Like Notre Dame's not going to play South Carolina in the foreseeable future in the regular season. So you get to kind of play these other teams you may have seen throughout the year, and eventually records will dictate that you guys are pretty much equal, and you get to go prove it. The other thing is you want that bowl gift as a player. I don't know what they're getting now, Vic, but you want a bowl gift. You want just a little trinket to say, yes, I played and I'm having fun, but I also get a gift. Because a lot of the games, the only gift you get's a W. So that's a part of it too. And you start to wonder now, with so many players leaving early, I think we might see a day in the future where these bowl games start paying players to stay and play that game.
What was your best bowl gift? What'd you get, a VCR, CD player?
We got a PSP back in the day, those small Sony, PlayStation players. One time we got, check this out now, Vic, you'll remember, the portable DVD player. Look out. Oh, yeah. So we were rolling, but it changes, And what's funny for many fans, I don't know what the bowl gift limit is now, but when I was playing, it was $350. And I'm like, we spent more than $350 on the associate athletic director to come on the trip. Like, come on, man. Yeah. So, but for a lot of players, too, you got to remember, they don't really leave their hometown. And when you're on the road with a team, you don't go and see the city. So, they're getting to explore Jacksonville. A lot of people don't know that they're surfing up there on that northeast side of Florida. So it's an experience, it's a journey, and ultimately it's a business trip to win.
Hey, before we let you go, what have you heard coming out of the Dome there? How is Coach Freeman doing with recruiting? How's it coming with the portal? What's the net result going into next year?
Well, the biggest thing that I've learned is that Coach Freeman and his staff have a plan for the portal. They have a plan for the recruiting schedule going into the bowl game, as well as the plan of expectations for the players. So that's very important to lay out. And a lot of coaches don't tell that to the team, But this coaching staff's done a great job of communicating exactly what this is going to look like and what they expect from the players when they are coaching the team in practices. So I'm very excited about that because as a player, the biggest thing you want is communication. And some players are thinking now all across the country, well, I'm playing in this game, but does coach care more about me or this kid that they're recruiting? And what I've learned is that Coach Freeman and his staff have been very upfront about what they're going to do recruiting-wise and then what they expect in games and in practices leading up to the bowl game.
Well, I can't wait to see him continue to build this program for next year and many years to come. You're right. The roots of the program it's always recruiting, but there's the second tier of the portal now, and I don't even know what to look at anymore. Are you looking at, like, what do you look at? Are you looking at the portal or the recruits? What's more important anymore?
Well, I think it depends on the position. And my biggest thing, though, is you have to find out what character of player you're getting. Is this a guy who played well for 4 games and wants to start now and be a starter? Is this a guy that lost his job due to a recruit? I mean, these are kind of things that you need to really look at, because at this level and the players they're going to look at, everyone can play. But who do you trust? Who do you think's a character guy that can stand up in the locker room and really go to class at Notre Dame as well?
Rhino, thanks for another great season. Here come the Irish, buddy.
What a blast. And always fun to work with you, Vic. You're a legend. You're a role model. You're my mentor. You're a great friend as well. Love you, brother. And love to all of our family in the Notre Dame family.
I agree. I agree with everything except that lie detector test you failed on right there. No legend here. It's good to work with you, my man. Have a great call in the Gator Bowl. We leave all of you now. Thanks for participating in the show. Trumpets under the dome. See you then.